Let's go. You guys, I got a good one for you. Lots of good news coming out today, and some of it dropping out of nowhere seemingly for the second day straight. Today's stories are painting a picture of a very effective offense, especially through the air. We're going to talk about it from both sides, the passer and the catcher. And no, I'm not talking about opening day for the San Francisco Giants. I'm talking about those Niners. Hit subscribe if you're looking for daily 49ers content. We're about to hit 10K. We're going to do a giveaway, so make sure that you are subscribed up for that giveaway. But our passing game is in good hands. I think we can mostly agree that our passing game is in good hands. You got a great coach, you got a good quarterback, you have great wide receivers. If everybody's healthy on this roster, it's still a very talented roster. We're going to be talking about some of that, but first, I want to get to the 49ers move on Sam Okuayinonu real quick, because we didn't get to this yesterday. Kind of happened after I'd already, I had like 20 minutes worth of content for yesterday's video. So I wanted to get into this. I thought before we get to the double dose of good news, I want to check in with Faithful and ask you guys, what do you guys think about this? How do you feel about the 49ers on this restricted free agent deal that they did with Sam Okuayinonu? Of course, getting way more experience last season than I anticipated, having 451 snaps at defensive end. It's a 1-year, $1.03 million non-guaranteed for Sam Okuayinonu, who signed his exclusive rights free agent tender with the 49ers. So let me know in the comments what you think about that one. But let's get to the first piece of good news that I'm hyped on, and it has to do with Brock Purdy going out there and having a conversation on the Built for More podcast. And this is a fascinating one. There's so much stuff that came out of this podcast that's going to be coming out on your Twitter feed or wherever you get your media for a while. But one of the things that came out that I thought was most valuable for me is thinking about Brock Purdy and one of his wideouts. Listen to this. Brock Purdy talking about Ricky Pearsall's mentality. This dude went through so much adversity early on, but every time he was on the field with us at practice, he would come up to me and wouldn't shut up. Brock, dude, I'm going to take this many steps here, break out, and you can trust me. And I love that. In the heat of the moment, I need a guy who I can trust, and this guy wants to get on the same page with me. So after practice, he's running routes, and I'm throwing to him. And then when we get into the game, boom, we're hitting on third and down and converting. That's what it takes. I want to come back. I want to circle back, as they say, to Ricky Pearsall later in this video. So don't go anywhere for that because of that. But just in general, on the surface, what I love about this is the connection between Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall. And I do mean like that brotherly friendship kind of connection. Of course, that always helps and translates onto the field. So if Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall have this much rapport, I believe that this is a fantastic insight into what these two are going to do in the future, because Brandon Aiyuk is probably not going to be back week 1. And even if he is, he's going to miss most likely a good chunk of training camp. And we saw what happened last year when he missed a good chunk of training camp and he wasn't coming off a massive injury. So does Ricky Pearsall need to be a great guy he can trust? Absolutely. Demarcus Robinson is added into the mix. That's a huge benefit as well. Then you, of course, have Jauan Jennings, who was way more valuable than anyone anticipated he was going to need to be last season. So there's so much in this wide receiver room, even without Deebo Samuel, that we do have to be aware. Like this is still a very good offense, okay? But let's just keep going, because there's other stuff that Brock Purdy said, and we'll get back to wide receiver stuff in a little bit. Brock Purdy says about 40% of the time, he's not able to see his intended target on throws downfield due to the size of the lineman in front of him. He talks about how important it is knowing coverages, scheme, and knowing where his receivers are supposed to be. So our guy, Brock Purdy, has elite vision. He is an elite anticipator, right? And he's doing this while he self-admits 40% of the time, he's not even able to see his guy. That is insane. It's not surprising, but it is insane when you think about it. So for Brock Purdy to not be a laser guy, but to be an anticipation thrower, this just fits into that narrative. For him to take, immediately where my mind was like, dude, 2023, when you're thinking 40% of those passes, he couldn't even see his guy. 2023 is incredible. One of the best things I can think. Like, it gets me so hyped, dude. I want football right now. I want to see Brock Purdy. I want to see Ricky Pearsall. I'm just super fired up on it. But we'll keep going. There was more out there. Quarterback Brock Purdy discussed when he realized he had the potential to be an NFL quarterback, citing, and this fits right into what I'm always telling you about Brock Purdy. What I love about Brock is his mentality. His mentality is so high. His leadership is so high. All these people tell me that you're not going to be good enough. But deep down inside, this whole time, I'm just like, wait. Just wait until you get an opportunity and compete. And we saw what happened when he waited. He went to multiple NFC championship games. An injury aside, could have gone to 2 Super Bowls. I mean, it was looking that way. So there you go. There you have it. That's your quarterback, Brock Purdy. Saw this tweet while I was out there. I was like, yeah, that's a great point. Purdy's processing and accuracy truly is elite. This is a true skill that takes the most quarterbacks years to learn, and that's your QB1, about to be a very well-paid quarterback one, most likely. Okay, now I want to get into the Brandon Aiyuk thing, but first, I got to tell you about the ultimate penalty voting experience, penalty verdict. I don't know about you, but I care entirely too much about penalties. Like, I obsess over them, and I think about what the world would be like had that penalty gone a different way. Like, how would Super Bowl 54 have gone if Jimmy G's pass to George Kittle, 42 yards into the red zone, it's about to be halftime, the 49ers are about to score a touchdown. If that doesn't get called back on a bogus offensive pass interference call, the whole world could be different. Well, now you can do something about it. Penalty Verdict allows you to vote in real time on penalty calls on both NFL and college football games. So Niners fans can say, no, that was a bogus call, and this referee is always calling in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. With Penalty Verdict, you get to engage with a community of football fans who desire fair play and accountability. You get to unlock the next dimension of sports by engaging with real-time polling of referees, players, and teams. Plus, Penalty Verdict is the development phase, which means they want to know what you think they should do next. They want your feedback. So what features do you want to see in the app for the next football season? You can vote on NFL and college football penalty calls in real time with Penalty Verdict by going to penaltyverdict.com/Sports Talk San Francisco. That is penaltyverdict.com/Sports Talk San Francisco. Get signed up for that today right here where it says join the wait list. Go and do that. Now back to our wide receivers, Jauan Jennings and Brandon Aiyuk. We're going to talk about both of these guys. So let's start with Jauan Jennings. According to this report, sources say, I don't know if it's true, but okay, sources say the 49ers plan on having contract extension talks this offseason with wide receiver Jauan Jennings. Jennings broke out with 77 receptions, 975 yards, should have been 1,000, but referees, again, penalty verdict, there you go. 6 TDs last year, proving to be a reliable threat, not only third downs, but every down. He is the definition of Niners football. Maybe one of the most true statements ever. He is the definition of Niners football. I absolutely love Jauan Jennings, and so do you. Everybody loves Jauan Jennings. How could you not love Jauan Jennings? Now, he's not Brandon Aiyuk. And by that, I mean he's not your X guy that's going to get that separation that you need. But he is an incredibly reliable wide receiver. And with the unknowns with Brandon Aiyuk, I would feel very good about a deal for Jauan Jennings to keep him here longer. Now, he's still under contract. If you remember last summer, he got signed for 2 years. It, at the time, looked like a good deal. It turned out to be an incredible deal, an amazing deal. And if the 49ers do extend him, it will be good for him. I'm sure his agent is saying, look at what he just did. Let's keep this guy here. Let's keep this rolling. This is a good system for him. This is a good quarterback for him, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure his agent is knocking on the door looking for a bigger deal. And the deal is interesting, though, because of Brandon Aiyuk's situation, which I'm sure you know this over the weekend. Lots of information coming out. But, this is still on JJ. I'll throw this out there, too. They've tightened their external spending budget, but remain steadfast in rewarding those who constantly show up. You saw it with Demo. They'll do it with Kittle, Warner, and JJ. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But anyway, the The 49ers have engaged in trade conversations regarding Brandon Aiyuk with multiple teams. That is not a surprise to you. You knew that, of course. The belief, according to Jordan Schultz, that's like the latest, which would be yesterday, now that I'm talking about it. The belief is that it is unlikely that a deal will get done before April 1st roster guarantee is triggered. That is logical. It makes sense. Obviously, the 49ers are trying to move on from BA now, if at all, because if they can get it done before April 1st, it will save them a boatload of money. Some people suggest that the 49ers are still interested in trading Aiyuk after April 1st. I don't know. I'm not an expert in the finances, but that seems like a bad move to me. What I am interested in is what the 49ers are doing right now and how desperate they are to make that trade. Larry Krueger believes that Brandon Aiyuk could be gone. Don't get me wrong. I'm kind of on the fence on this one. On one hand, if they move on from him, I feel okay with the talent we have, and there's a couple really good wide receivers that the 49ers have been eyeing. So I'm okay with where we're at wide receiver-wise. And if you are going to do all this dead cap stuff, like maybe just do it now and just get it done. I'm cool with that. On the other hand, Brandon Aiyuk of 2023 is, he is replaceable, but he's not far off irreplaceable. Like, he's that good. He's a top 10 dude, one of the best wide receivers in the league in 2023. And so I don't want to give up on him too soon, even with the drama, even with the typical stuff that you see with wide receivers and the diva stuff. I don't want to give up on him yet because I don't like it. But if he can play football, then I can handle it, right? So we'll have to wait and see what happens with BA and Jauan Jennings. But we got to talk about Ricky Pearsall. I kind of threw him out there earlier in the video. Ricky Pearsall, okay, this is interesting. I did a little digging on this, kind of looking at like how did it start, how did it end, things like that, okay? So Ricky Pearsall is an interesting story because of, first, the shoulder injury in training camp, followed by then the incident that happened downtown, and then that put him out several weeks, right? So he comes to play for the first time against the Kansas City Chiefs. Was that week 7 or 8? Somewhere around there. Okay, so middle of the season. He comes to play. He's finally there. Okay? By the way, I should say this. Well, yeah. Okay, so 12 touches in the first 3 games for 171 yards and a touchdown in his first 3 games. 12 touches. One of those didn't drop a pass. Or every pass was a completion. Whatever, however you want to say that. Okay? Then at the end of the season, 19 touches for the last 3 games of the season, 253 yards and 2 TDs. So there was definitely, like, I was looking at the bookends of the season is when he's having the most production. The middle of the season, he's not very involved. And there's a lot that I think about that. One of those games was a Deebo game. The game after Deebo was complaining and whining and then ends up getting 1 million receptions, or getting 1 million targets, I should say. 1 million touches is actually the most right way to say things. Something that we didn't talk about, however, is I was looking at his PFF data, and there were a couple games where he rated in the elite level as a run blocker. Now, there were other games where he didn't, but there was a couple games out there that stand out performances as a run blocker. So that's a good sign, because the 49ers, what the 49ers think about Ricky Pearsall, what wide receivers and blocking. That's super important, of course. So I love that they're thinking that way. If you don't block, you don't get the rock. You know what I'm talking about. So he starts the season off, has decent production in the start of the season, and then but really struggling with separation early on, if you remember. And then at the end of the season, he looked like a guy that the 49ers were just like, all right, we're just going to, the season's basically over. We're going to give this guy a lot of opportunities. And he took those opportunities well. He did a great job with them. So I'm hyped on Ricky Pearsall. I'm hyped on that. Also, 253 yards over 3 games and 2 TDs for a guy that got 19 touches, got a couple opportunities. Pretty good. I love it. One of those in the first 3 games, what's his second game, I want to say? Who do we play after the Kansas City Chiefs? Was it Dallas? Did we have the bye week right after the Kansas City Chiefs? Or did we have the bye week before? No. Yeah, it was either after Dallas or before Dallas. No, I can't remember. Whatever. Who cares? Oh, no, the Tampa Bay was after there. So it must have been Dallas. Whatever the case. He had a 39-yard run in there, mixed in that. So that puffed up his numbers a little bit there as well. Folks, 28 days away from the 2025 NFL Draft. I can't wait for it. I'm super, super stoked. I cannot wait to see what the 49ers are going to do, how they're going to handle the draft, what they're going to do with their picks. If if they didn't move, I would be completely surprised. I imagine that they're going to be doing some movement. Will they do it in the first round? Not so sure about that, because you don't get number 11 picks very often. You don't want to get number 11 picks very often. So unless it's a part of a trade deal or something. And I think the 49ers, because of, and I know that their history, there's kind of some negative history in terms of some of those first round drafts. And they also gave up a ton of first round picks for other guys in the past. So you have to remember, they also just don't have as much draft capital to work with. So now we're seeing an opportunity where they have a ton of draft capital. What is going to happen with all of this draft capital? I can't wait to see. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the 10K giveaway and all that kind of stuff. Appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. And if you're watching this on Friday, happy Friday. It's already basically the weekend. If you're watching this on Thursday night, the weekend is just not that far away. So there you go. You're gonna watch the video. You're gonna wake up in the morning. It's gonna be the weekend. It's gonna be awesome. Hope you guys have a fantastic one because you deserve it.